Welcome in to the CHGO Bears Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app, use promo code CHGO when you sign up. We are here again in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. Look who's with us today.
Sorry.
Look at that. That was an all-time record for Lawrence sigh.
There we go.
Did you hear Lawrence's sigh?
No, he sighed 5 minutes ago, and
Guys, I'll say this.
he's in a terrible mood.
Well, here's the deal. Okay, we did not actually stay out that late. At least I didn't. I don't know about the host of the show, but
I was the first. I was the first one home. Thank you very much.
I was home by about 12:30.
Yeah.
However, I can't seem to sleep in the place we're staying in.
Dollhouse.
Well, that's understandable.
That's really annoying because you were adamant that you had to have your own room, and you can't sleep, so you might as well be in a room
Just
with
in a
Nick.
car.
You might as well. If you're not sleeping, then you can like not sleep next to Nick.
Here's problem number 2. I've just done 2 shows, one with DNVR, who maybe got a combined 4 hours of sleep between the 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then I did PHNX. They were also out till God knows when. So I feel like I'm hungover by osmosis.
Is this a coffee advertisement? Is that
Yes,
that we're
We
going
got some Starbucks right here. Hey, congrats to Starbucks today. They had coffee,
Congrats to Starbucks.
which is a new development
way.
compared to yesterday.
Thanks, Starbs.
Yeah, the Starbucks did not have coffee yesterday.
Wow.
Which
I've
still
never heard of that.
Look, we're going strong.
No, enough with the complaining. Let's get into
Oh,
the
yeah.
meat of
I
it.
found you guys. Remember, I was lost because I was like, I'm going to Lucas Oil. Back when I was at the Combine, that's where they had everything. All the media.
He was ready to work out this
I was
morning.
ready to work out.
He
man.
was ready to go. He's
I was
like,
ready.
we doing this or
We're
what?
stretching. I was getting ready for the workout room, and they told me, they said, no, sorry, no media here. I'm like, man. But I finally found them.
Woot's been dialing up takes on everything since the second he
I'm ready. I'm ready to
arrived.
go, man. I'm chomping at
Woot
the
has
bit,
already
man.
done 3 shows since he got here just talking to us. We're excited that he's here with us. We got a big show. Obviously, some big news with Jalen Carter we are going to discuss because I think it shakes up maybe not the whole draft, but definitely the top 10 and where the Bears are picking. So we got to talk about that. Carmi V is jumping on with us in a little bit, and Braggs harassed Stacey Dales to the point that we did an interview with her. So
It was great.
Persistent.
You guys did an interview with her. I was not invited. That's okay. We got a lot of people
they
there.
shut you
no
out,
big
Carl.
deal.
Did you hear what he said right before the show started?
No.
I said, great job by you with the Stacey Dales interview, and he said, yes, especially because Carm wasn't on it.
Right. The guy, I spent like 3 hours on a call with Braggs. Was, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing at the Combine, but I just want to make you guys look good. Like, I'm not trying to run over you at all. I'm not trying to do anything. I just want to, be a great team player. My relationship with you matters more than anything. Goes out, gets Stacey Dales, walks right by me, steps on my head, and then talks to Dales. It was unbelievable.
I mean,
it's an unbelievable move by Braggs.
And then has 2 sandwiches, too.
Yep. Don't take any photos of him. The transformation of a Greg Braggs in the last 24 hours. Yesterday at this time, he was just...
Used to be a team guy.
I didn't ask Ryan Poles a question. And now he's just like, I'll get whoever you want. I'm going to ask all the questions, and Carm's not part of the show anymore.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
We used to be friends.
Not anymore.
Then Indy happened, and no more.
I feel like I've lost my best friend, really. It's okay. Don't worry about it, Greg. Anyway, let's talk Jalen Carter.
Our best friends. All right, so Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, Corey Wootton, we're all here. We got a big show. What a morning it has been. Now, you guys were hanging out here waiting for Jalen Carter, thinking one of the biggest interviews of the week that we had to have covered was going to happen, and the clock's ticking, and he's not here, and he's missing, and then all of a sudden, a story comes out of Atlanta. Yeah, there's an arrest warrant out for him because this car crash that happened has been, very sad. I mean, a teammate died, a staffer died. We've known about this now. I mean, it happened in January, but sure sounds like the situation was they were racing each other and he was the other car involved in it. And so at a minimum, there's 2 misdemeanor charges now, and he did not talk. I don't think he's even here anymore. And I'll start with you, Corey. Like, how do you think this affects it would not surprise me if Ryan Poles already crossed him off the board this morning.
Yeah, I mean, if
Like,
I'm Ryan Poles,
yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal, right? He was involved in a drag race where someone died, right? And supposedly I think they might have been drunk as well. That's what they're talking about.
Well, I believe the toxicity on
the staffer was driving had a .197 blood alcohol.
I'm assuming they
content
because they didn't know Jalen was even there. They don't have any proof that he was. But
I
mean, it was 2:30 in the morning. I think
exactly. Yeah. I guess we'll see how everything develops. But it's just unfortunate, right? Because he was somebody that we were all looking for to possibly be that Bears 3 technique of the future. And you just never want that to happen, especially right before the draft. And so hopefully we can get all the details about everything. But if it is what it seems like, I would cross him off the board. There's already been some concerns about him and the way he plays and effort and things of that nature. So coupling that with that, I would have to cross him off if it is indeed everything that it seems.
Yeah, and you guys too. Like I felt like for the past couple of weeks, it's been a discussion, Carter or Will Anderson. It's these two guys if the Bears are going to take a defensive player in the top 3. And I was leaning Carter the entire time just because of what he could bring for the 3-tech position. And now with all this kind of happening and thinking that, the Bears want to have good character guys in this locker room, it just seems like with everything that's been coming out with Carter – it doesn't seem like he fits that mold of what the Bears currently have in their locker room right now.
Will Anderson seems like the ultimate professional, right? Humble guy. Everyone talks highly of him, hard worker. I mean, he does things the right way. So it seems like his stock just continues to go up. He's a great player. And I know people have been talking about, is he truly a fit for this Tampa 2 scheme? And Nick, we were kind of talking about it. You look at Simeon Rice, right? He played in the Tampa 2 scheme, the right defensive end. And he played really good, against the run. He played good in pass rush. And I think that's what separates this Tampa 2 scheme from any other 4-3 front is the fact that you attack, right? You set your edge in the run by attacking and getting up the field. And that's something Will Anderson does really well. He has all the pass rush ability. He stood up most of the time, but I think he could make that transition to play that right defensive end if he falls in that spot.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, there's a lot of things that are unfortunately interesting about the Jalen Carter situation, but one of his teammates, Nolan Smith, spoke today and was this is before we knew any of this news had come out, and he was saying, look, because there was also stuff that, that he was, off his, that the character was an issue, period. And he was, hey, you guys, just to let you know, he's a great teammate, one of my favorite teammates. I loved playing with him. And then, and when he was asked about the actual accident, he started talking about his teammate that lost his life and wanted the focus to be on that. So his teammates are, and he's not the first one.
They've already been out defending him with some of the character issues, and I think some people
the teammate was Devin Whitlock, by the way.
Yeah, I think some people owe Todd McShay an apology because he was like one of the first people to point this stuff out, and then he got, when that athletic story came out last week that talked Jalen Carter up, then everybody was going after Todd McShay. Anyway, that
you can look
doesn't necessarily. Lawrence, your mic's hot, buddy. Love you.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But I guess the point is we got to see all the details about everything, right? We have to see how this unfolds, right, before we jump to any conclusions, right? Because all this is preliminary. Right?
Yeah, it is. But let me give you – this week's been interesting with Jalen Carter. I mean, a big reason why we come down here is to hear some of the things. You guys have heard me now for 2 months talking this guy up because I'm going off the film. And the film, nothing changes. The film's still outstanding. Right? Yeah, there's some questions. He takes some plays off. But when you watch what he does to offensive linemen and just, shoves them out of the way like Khalil Mack style as he's coming, I mean, that's all impressive. So that's why this is a process leading up to the draft, right? I don't know. Bye-bye, DNVR crew.
Adios.
DNVR going back to dominate Denver from their home location, but we are going to miss them.
Yep. I am going to miss them.
We are going
to. They did not dominate 2 hours ago.
I do feel like I'll get more sleep tonight, though, with them not here.
I mean,
I might get my own bed.
If I'm being honest.
If I'm being honest, the fact that there's just 3 beds just opened up is just so big for us.
Yeah.
It's I mean, we're going to miss everybody.
Yeah.
But
are we? Yes, we are.
We most definitely are. But
what I was going to say, though, is
back to you.
You get down here, and even just starting Monday night, had a couple people look, here's the thing about Jalen. It's not clear cut. He's kind of a difficult player to have to deal with. Was like one of the nicer ways that somebody was putting that to me. I'm like, okay. And then, but my follow-up question is always like, is it something you can deal with because he's so good, right? Not all these guys in the NFL, this are not all saints, right? You have high-maintenance teammates. You have guys that you have to deal with on a daily basis. But, well, if you're pretty good at football and you're going to go sack the quarterback, it's okay.
Yeah.
And the question was like, or the comp then that came back to me was Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong Suh.
What, just in terms of like, yeah, maybe not the best guy ever. There's definitely some things that you had to deal with there. But he was still pretty damn good at football.
Yeah, that's not that bad of a comparison.
Right.
If they said, what's his name, Tank Johnson or something like that, then the guy that used to play for the Bears and all that, then there'd be some flags. But, yeah, I think we need to see how this unfolds. And it seems like his teammates like him. Some players are more difficult. Myles Garrett coming out, right? A lot of people talked about how difficult he was, his motor. They questioned this. Look how that's panned out for him. So I think the talent is there. A lot of people have been buzzing about him. When you put on the tape, like you said, he dominates people. And it's good to see. And he would be a great fit for the 3 technique. But it's just interesting now. It kind of shakes things up for what the Bears could potentially do with this first pick.
So granted, this is like pretty fresh news. None of us really know how this is going to play out. But here's my gut feeling. I'll give it to you right away. Because this is horrible. I mean, people died in this. And that's tough.
You want me to read the comments that Nolan said about his friend that lost life, Devin Willock, along with the football staffer, Chandler LaCroix? Just let me read this. This was earlier today. This is the first time I'm talking about it. That's my guy, the one person that never did anything wrong. I get sensitive talking about it just because I love him and he never did anything wrong in his 3 years. He was supposed to graduate. Most people don't know his brother passed like that, and I'm sorry to his mama. No one should live like that. No one deserves to die like that. He never did shit wrong. I'm sorry for my language. He never did anything wrong. 3 years in a row, that man showed up and worked day in and day out. He's a 2-time natty champ, It's written in stone. That's all I'm going to say. Devin, I love you. So there's teammate Jalen Carter's teammates of Devin Willock, teammate of the staffer as well. Chandler LaCroix who was driving the car and lost life. I mean, it's just a lot of heavy stuff here. Well, and you go ahead.
Well, it's still the NFL.
Right.
I still feel like a team is going to.
Of course.
The talent is there. They will overlook a lot of it.
I agree.
He's good. The tape's good. Yes, he's difficult.
Shouldn't have been drag racing. Bad choice. Shouldn't have lied about it. Shouldn't have done a lot of things. Shouldn't have been drinking. Dude gets to the quarterback.
And at the end of the day, these are misdemeanor charges. I'm not trying to diminish what happened at all, but that's just the reality of the legal situation is that they're misdemeanors. And now I think one of the questions though is there some type of league discipline right away? Are you bringing in a player that is gonna?
But can you do that when that happened during college? I don't think you can.
I think Roger Goodell can pretty much do whatever he wants.
But do you think realistically they would?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But here's what I'm getting at, though. I don't think you can justify all that at number 1 overall, or even at number 2 overall, or even at number 4 overall if you trade back to 4. I think that is maybe in the teens of the first round at the highest. Some team can say, all right, well, we're not betting on like you can't screw that up in the top 5. No. And so I have no intel right now on where Jalen Carter is on the Bears draft board, especially after this news. But I will say this. I don't think there's any way you could draft him in the top 5.
He seems like a Las Vegas Raider. Like, that just seems like somebody, like, you think of players that have had a history.
Well, Champ Kelly was just sitting right there. Should we ask him?
The Cleveland Browns traded 3 first-round draft picks and gave Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed.
Yeah. So if you can play, they'll put up with some stuff.
Do the Cowboys still exist? They still exist, right?
Dez Bryant, right? Me and him came out the same year. He literally, Jerry Jones had security follow him everywhere he went. When he went to a club, just to make sure he stayed out of trouble. He did that for a couple years until he grew up and matured. But he was like, his talent is that good that I'm going to put up with this, and I'm going to have extra security with him and make sure he does things the right way. Because on Sundays, he showed up and played.
And that's the thing that, like, we're still 2 months away from the draft. There's going to be legal ramifications. There's going to be interviews that obviously he had already met with teams here. Mm-hmm. He may have already met with the Bears here. But there's obviously got to be more digging, right? But if he can show what you're talking about, can we protect him? Can we get him to coexist in our building? I still think that there's a team. My gut feeling right now is there's still a team that will
in the first round.
Yeah.
I did throw a poll on our YouTube for anyone who's watching the stream. It says, "Would you cross Jalen Carter off your draft board?" And right now, 63% said yes.
Yeah.
Just completely off the draft. Wow.
Really.
So think about this. If this doesn't even get ironed out, and think about how much this will affect them, right? But if it gets ironed out and they're like, well, he had no wrongdoing in this or whatever, he was just in the car, then that makes people feel a lot better about stuff. But still, if things don't get ironed out, who knows? This could be a thing where he just continues to drop, and eventually there's going to be a team that selects him. But very interesting.
And I'm not giving any passes or doing anything, period. I'm just on a wider range of doing the right thing in the moment, having that level of integrity. It's not that easy. Maybe I think a lot of people are like, it's cut and dry. Well, how could he leave? Well, his whole future's there. I'm not making any excuses, but like the dude that actually sits there and talks to the cops, tells the story, in that level of that it's. I get how people end up not.
Are you talking about lying? What are you talking about?
I'm just talking about like that moment in time for a 21-year-old dude.
You're saying that he left the scene in the action.
Yeah, he left the scene.
I was confused about what you were saying.
Yeah. So you were just drag racing with this dude. You've been out all night. Who knows what state you're in? To actually sit there and logically like take a deep breath, process everything that happened. Okay, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to talk to the police. That is I can't imagine what that's like. But I am just saying that it's not an easy thing to process perfectly and do the right thing, which is I think a lot of people will find some creative excuses if they want to give him a second opportunity.
Jalen Carter actually released a statement on Twitter here.
Okay.
Let's see.
Why don't you read it?
Yeah, here we go. Oh, that made it tiny. Okay. So a statement from Jalen Carter. This morning I received a telephone call from the Athens, Georgia Police Department informing me that 2 misdemeanor warrants have been issued against me for reckless driving and racing. Numerous media reports also have circulated this morning containing inaccurate information concerning the tragic events of January 15, 2023. It is my intention to return to Athens to answer the misdemeanor charges against me and to make certain that the complete and accurate truth is presented. There is no question in my mind that when all the facts are known that I will be fully exonerated of any criminal wrongdoing.
So he's pushing back.
So that was
his lawyers are.
12:13 p.m. is when that got released from Jalen Carter's Twitter.
Yeah. Look, again, this is probably too fresh to like really get into, and it's got to play out. The one thing I will say, whether it's this or other thing, I think sometimes we forget that these are kids. I mean, they're not; they're adults, but
they did a lot of stupid stuff at 21. I'll tell you that
right.
now.
And but even like best case scenario, it was a young 21-year-old who made a terrible decision, and it led to awful consequences. It's like the worst consequences you could have with people dying.
2. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's they got to figure it all out, obviously. But like, I'm just trying to go back to. I'm not justifying it by any means. I hope that's not why I'm.
Neither am I.
I'm just.
Neither is anyone.
We're also acknowledging this is the NFL, and they're in my opinion right now, just off the top of my head, reacting to this, I think there's a team that still talks themselves into.
100%.
Like he's 21,
too talented,
and
way too talented.
and we've.
I do think it makes it easier for the Bears to, like, if Poles was sitting there like, man, I think it's probably best for us to trade down if we're just talking football for a second. But I don't want to lose out on this talent. I think that becomes a much easier calculus for him right now.
Yeah. Sometimes his legal proceedings take a while. So who knows, even during the draft, it might not play out for how he wants it to or to get the full facts of everything. So that'll affect him. What was that, Lel Collins?
Yeah.
That whole thing that he was they said he murdered someone or all that, and then he was exonerated and everything, ended up going to free agent, and that kind of killed it.
Been a good player.
He's been a great player since, but he lost out on a lot of money for an accusation, something that wasn't even true.
Right.
Who was the guy from Baylor? The guy that became a meme.
Yeah,
he's playing
giant.
He has an African last name. Sean Oakman. Sean Oakman.
Yep.
Yeah. Sean Oakman was accused of rape. Ended up the girl lied, but he was supposed to be a top pick. Ended up not getting picked and all that stuff. So it ruined his life. So we just have to wait for everything to play out, right? Because this could be completely different than the details that they're telling us right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's talk. Okay, it's complicated, man, and it's.
This was not expected today by anyone, but also there was along the same lines with Jalen. A lot of, as we started the show, there was a lot of varying reports of his character coming out.
Well, and that's what I was.
And then the big bomb comes today.
You know, I was not expecting this, but it's been
was.
2 days of a lot of people warning me about Jalen Carter, and you always want to take things with a grain of salt because everybody's lying, right? To some extent, or at least you got to have that in your mind that it could be happening. And I hate to me the worst parts of the NFL draft is how these guys are just picked on for months, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. So even as yesterday, as we did the show, he's still on my draft board, right? Now today, with this, I go back to what I just said a few minutes ago. It's you can't. I don't think you can take him in the top five.
So if before the draft, his name is cleared, he didn't have any wrongdoing in it, does that change your opinion at that point? Or is it still that in the back of your mind, he was involved in something that cost somebody, two people their lives, and you're just staying away from it?
I mean, that's why you got to do your homework as a
But to you guys, do you feel like that's enough, even if he's exonerated of everything and cleared his name?
I still think it's too risky to bet on that.
I think so, too.
Now, I would say off the top of my head, the earliest, if he's going to be a Bear, which right now I would say is doubtful, to say the least, would be you trade back to 9. You've added a lot of picks. Maybe add Brian Burns in that trade.
That'd be very nice.
And then now you're there at 9, and that to me would be the earliest that as a GM that you could take that gamble. And I still personally probably wouldn't do it.
I don't think the Bears are doing it. I would be very surprised. Hits principle and all.
I don't think Carter's going to be a Bear.
I don't think so.
Yeah. By the way, want to make sure you know that as we are here at the draft and we're learning all these things about these prospects, good and bad, we are updating the CHGO draft board database, and it's a perk of being a CHGO diehard. You have access to the same database we're using internally to learn about these guys, to organize our thoughts, and as we talk about these guys, this is literally the stuff that we're on the back end working on, and you get access to it as a CHGO diehard. One of the coolest things that we're doing. So make sure that you are signed up to be a CHGO diehard at allchgo.com/diehard.
Nick.
Yes, I am going through tabs. We got a darn slack from Kevin Kaduk. I blame you, Kevin. But I got to tell everybody about your AG1s. We got you, though, Kevin.
Toss Kevin.
Yep, I did. With one scoop of Athletic Greens, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day off right. This mixture of ingredients helps your immune system, gives you energy, and improves your focus, and that's why I take my Athletic Greens, and you should too. What's awesome about your AG1s is that it costs less than a cup of coffee a day, also helps support better sleep quality and recovery, which we all definitely need. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free one-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bears. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bears to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance.
See, I'll actually take the blame for that awkwardness because I should have gone straight into DraftKings.
Yeah, I didn't understand what you were doing either, but I just put it on Nick's shoulders. I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Way to take accountability.
Hey, listen, I checked my reads, and I know that I'm not till the second break.
You're at the second break, yeah. You're good.
This is the nonsense we deal with on a daily basis. Mostly started by me.
I'm trying to have the high integrity poll around here.
But make sure you make sure you are checking out DraftKings, the great DraftKings app. Get some NBA no sweat same game parlays going on. You could turn on the television and see that Indiana's losing to Iowa, but
I made that bet.
20 points. Good for you, man.
Can I bet on Northwestern tonight in Indiana since I can't bet on them at home?
Actually, yes, you can.
You can.
You
Are we watching
can.
a game tonight?
We are watching Cats Penn State tonight. I'm putting money on the Wildcats right the hell now. Let's go.
Okay.
There you go.
Big money.
DraftKings.
Big
Spend all the
DraftKings.
money on them.
So make sure you're checking out the app now. Download it and sign up with the code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So you can follow Carm. Put $5 on Northwestern. You'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, we are going to have Carmi V here in a little bit. Should we go to the Stacey Dales interview? How long is that interview, by the way? Something I should have asked before.
Like 5.5 minutes, I think.
We should probably do that now.
Bring Stacey Dales in.
Stacey Dales is awesome.
16 seconds.
And she was, like I said earlier, waiting with Braggs for Jalen Carter, who is not going to show up. And they said, well, why don't we just do an interview? Why don't we do our own interview?
That's our 4-point favorite, by the way. By the way, if anybody has a problem with me not being on this interview, please send your comments to Greg Braggs, G Braggs.
In the stands, right?
in the stands. And all those complaints are going right there, please. Thank you.
All right, well, we found our friend Stacey Dales here on Radio Row at the Combine. We miss you, Stacey. You just, don't cover the Bears anymore.
Well, if they start winning, maybe that'll shift a little bit. But I had 2 or 3 home games last year, so I would like to stay home a little bit more versus being on the road so much. And we'll see how the roster shifts.
Is Justin Fields going to be the best quarterback in the NFC North next year? Am I getting ahead of myself?
You're asking me. Well, if he can read the defense like Eberflus talks about, right? Because I asked him that yesterday, or somebody did, and we'll see the progression, right? I continue to use, I don't know about you guys, but the Jalen Hurts sort of model. Obviously, now that he's shown what he can do in year 3, now he'll go into year 4. But in 3 years, I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback improve so drastically in terms of what he did. And from everybody I talked to covering the Eagles this year, who went to the Super Bowl, I mean, it's beyond an obsession with football with him. He lives in the facility. So you almost think, is Justin going to do that, right? And you get the sense maybe that he will, just because of how much he wants to win.
Yeah, no doubt. Stacey, we just got done talking to some of the edge rushers over here. Mm-hmm. Anything stand out to you in terms of anything that people said or any of the players? Yeah.
Well, obviously the Jalen Carter news is really shocking. Given some, and I'll kind of hesitate because there's going to be a lot more.
Right. One question I already have is, why did that come out today?
Yeah.
An
right.
hour before
an arrest warrant
it's
that comes out the day of his availability here with us, which is huge. These guys are all, and they love these moments. The thing I learned about these players is they love this. They maybe not the media portion as much, but they want this process because they've waited for their football lives for this, and this starts the draft process for them. Will Anderson blew me away.
Amazing.
Loved him. Nolan Smith. Mm-hmm. We'll see how he'll be used, but just his energy blew me away. And then Tyree Wilson. I mean, the wingspan. It was sensational. So.
With Poles and Eberflus so far, what are your? I know you weren't necessarily around the Bears a ton last season compared to the last regime, but it seems like it's picked up a little bit in the offseason now with all the attention on the Bears. Just what are your first impressions with what they've done?
Seriously, Adam, I'll go into every season assuming that this Bears team is going to be good, and so I'll be at the facility a lot. And I think Poles has had a very definitive approach since he took over as GM. I think they're ecstatic about having the number 1 pick. You'll hear a lot of teams be like, we never want to be in this position again. But they have to not only, pump the brakes a bit. Like, I think they have to move down and get more value, right? So that they can build their roster, because they have to do it with great rookie players. They've got their quarterback. I think they believe in Justin, but they have to build what's already a young team. So I think they move down from the first pick and acquire more value.
I think, honestly, this Jalen Carter news today, too, makes that easier. Because he was the one prospect that, like, I couldn't really poke holes in really until this week, when you start hearing some of the character concerns, and then obviously the story that came out today. But, like, even Will Anderson, as good as he is he a 4-3 DN though? Like, is he? I'm not sure the Bears are the perfect fit for him, and so I don't know. You add all that up, and I think just based on what Poles was saying yesterday, he sure sounds motivated to move back.
I agree.
Well, and also, if you trade back to 4, you're not guaranteed one or the other, like was part of the calculus of trading there. My biggest question to you, because you are so great covering the NFC North, is Aaron Rodgers going to get out of our misery and get out of this division at the very least? I just want him to retire and go home, go do Jeopardy. I'll support him in that.
Bears fans though, like, do you guys, like, fans, reporters, journalists, TV personalities, not love this drama that exists in Green Bay?
It's entertaining for sure. I mean,
100% enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like
goes into the darkness.
He owns the Bears, but yet there's this constant mystery, and he's doing darkness retreats. And this will be his 19th season. I just don't see him being a Packer, because I don't know if you guys listen to Brian Gutekunst, their GM, but Goody basically said this week to the media base, Jordan Love's ready to go, right? 3 years, came in the COVID year, 2020. Going to be entering that 4th season. He said he's ready to start. They like him. They think he's excelled in their when he's played in their system. And I don't know. So what's the dilemma going to be if Rodgers comes back from this darkness, the land of darkness, and is like, I still want to be a Packer. Do the Packers want him is going to be the question. And I'm not sure they're certain on that.
Stacey, biggest question for you: have you had your shrimp cocktail fix yet at St. Elmos?
No.
What's going on? Are you gonna? When's that happening?
I need to sniff it out, because I need to clear my sinuses. I've had a few allergies here, but yeah, it'll come. It's gonna come. It's an intense week for me. I'm here the entirety of it. I'm on the field for all the drills, nice. Thursday through Sunday. And so, yeah, I'll get there. But you guys know you can buy that stuff at, like, Mariano's, right?
Oh, yeah. I buy it at Costco all the time.
I just feel like it's not the same, though. I don't know. That's just me. You gotta have it here.
You're totally right, though.
Right?
And it's the way the shrimp come out. Mm-hmm. And then if you like steak, they actually have a really damn good tuna that I kind of like.
Before.
Yeah,
it's good.
Because I like a lot of fish, so, yeah.
Stacey, you're the best. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, thank you
so much.
Thanks for having me.
There she is, Stacey Dales. We appreciate Stacey, of course, from the NFL Network, just crushing the world at all times. Usually around the Bears more than she was this past year, which we talked about in the interview, because they were not very good. So yep. I think, and that makes her travel more, because she lives in Chicago, so she wants to be covering the Bears. We appreciate her, and she got the shrimp cocktail, which you got last night too.
I did.
Was that the first time?
Having the shrimp cocktail?
Yeah.
No, I've had it before, but it's been a decade.
Let me tell you something.
Is it the first time that you got it paid for by someone?
I don't think I've ever played for Elmos.
I will say that was the first time I've ever
flex.
Yeah.
I've ever played for Elmos.
That's the first time I've been at Elmos.
Non-flex. I wish I could pay for Elmos. Just walk in there like that, no big deal. Elmos.
Like some did.
I've never paid for Elmos either.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
That was the first time I've ever been at Elmos where the shrimp cocktails came for the whole table without me ordering one.
Oh, was it like an automatic thing?
Did you guys order them before I got there?
No, we just
because the waiter just brought them. And he's like, one for everybody. And I was like, who ordered these? But yes, thank you.
We had an upper level waiter last night. He was.
At one point, he waved in your face to acknowledge that he gave you another wine that I don't think you ordered.
I definitely didn't, but he just knew that I wanted it. This guy was fantastic.
You're on your phone. He puts the wine glass down, and then he starts like
And I said, yes, I'll
and they
drink
just
it.
pointed
Thank you
at
very
it.
much. It was delicious
I was
cab.
like, did he just wave in your face?
These guys been doing
Trying
that.
to get a good tip, man.
That dude's been out. He's been doing it for 30 years. He was a straight legend.
Also, for anybody that doesn't know the shrimp cocktail thing, that's like it's a St. Elmo staple, and I got hazed with it because I don't even like horseradish. It's like the most horseradish you've ever seen in one
Spicy.
place. And like, it's not that I can't handle the spice. I just don't like the flavor of horseradish. No one told me. And I just get everybody's like whispering, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I take a bite of it, and like I took like a big bite with like whatever, and my eyes just start watering. It was like,
yeah.
it was terrible. I don't like it.
That's what Carm did yesterday.
Nick too. Nick was struggle bus, man.
Nick's was great. Well, Bragg's too. He like immediately was like hand over mouth.
That's what I'm surprised at. Brick by brick, I'm tough. And all of a sudden, horseradish takes him out.
One of the biggest fake tough guys of all time, Braggs.
It's not good.
Oh, you got
Hey,
it.
shots
I
fired.
don't know why anybody enjoys this. I really don't.
It is good. I like spicy.
I
things.
agree with you.
When I was younger, I hated spicy stuff, but now I love
like
spicy.
spicy.
See, like Stacey mentioned, you can buy that at the grocery store, and I do. I have the St. Elmo's cocktail sauce in my fridge right now. I think it's great.
All right.
Stick
I
to
need to get some. They have them in Chicago.
Yeah.
I have to pick up
Oh,
some.
yeah.
Okay.
But, definitely get it at Costco.
Buy 2 super chats that are Jalen Carter related. If you want to do that, do you wanna
real
read them
quick.
off?
can do that.
Carm's going to tell us about game time. Obviously, Carmi V is here. I'm not sure people who are just listening to the podcast that might have been confused.
Yes, that's Carmi.
So,
You
Carmi
heard
V.
a girl's voice.
Carmi
I
V.
know I've got kind of a man voice for a girl,
Oh,
but
stop it.
Nick's voice just changed
Changed.
dramatically. No, Nick went to go right, so make sure you check out allchgo.com, all the great work that he's putting out. Will's putting out. Braggs wrote something yesterday.
What about the
Yes.
amazing piece by Carm? Are you going to mention the amazing piece by Carm?
Didn't know you
we
wrote
actually
it.
post that?
Great.
Is that on the internet?
I thought that was on the back
What
burner.
did you write?
Why is that? Why are settle down on my writing, Benedetto? Yes, I wrote it. I wrote a piece on Justin Fields and Ryan Poles and Bryce Young, and it is available at allchgo.com, and it's making major moves around. Many people are commenting on it, and I highly recommend it. It's a great piece.
the best piece.
No, I don't know it's the best, if we're going to be mentioning pieces that were written, let's at least throw a little Carm action
That's
in there.
Fair. It's
all I'm
fair.
saying.
I was not aware. You should promote yourself
I've
better.
tweeted it. I've Facebooked it. You're just not on my team right now.
Facebooked it.
Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site. Makes it easier than ever to score the best deals to tickets, sports, concert shows. See Woot. That's not true, but I wish you could buy a ticket to see Corey Wootton doing something, and all of us. Ever dreamed of sitting in that seat, 50-yard line, courtside behind him? Well, that's our guy. It's the only guy who's played in the NFL here. You should be able to see Woot somewhere. Floor seats at a concert. Yes, you can see Woot at a concert. Last-minute price drops. Rock and roll. Let's do it. You will not find a better deal on the internet than with Game Time tickets. Hey, and by the way, if you love us and you want to support us at CHGO, best way to do that is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. They're like, oh, sweet. These guys are driving sales. Let's advertise with those dudes because we love them. You can also join over 15 million people that have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. Game Time. Could have bought some Game Time tickets last night. We could have and gone over to IU and seen Iowa kick the living daylights out of the Hoosiers. That would have been sweet.
The mistake that was made last night is we could have gone to Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Yeah, was
Butler
that game any
versus
good?
who?
I don't know if it was
Marquette-
good, but I've never
Marquette won
been
by
there, and
16.
it's right down the street.
I would have gone
It
Hinkle.
was like $10 to get in.
I would have full Hinkled.
Can't beat that.
Full
Full
Hinkle.
The full Hinkle.
Tinkle at the Hinkle. Let's go. Everybody wants to say it. Let's
Sounds
go.
like Ace Ventura.
Carmi V is here. She was
let's
part of the high-level late-night crew last night, let me tell you.
We did run into each other.
Yep.
It was great. I mean, that place, I had no idea that I walked into that place at 2 a.m. I had no idea what time it was.
Last night got
Who are these
away
people?
from us real fast.
It always, I swear that there's some sort of time warp in Indianapolis during this week that no one is aware of what time it is.
I was
ever.
aware. It's 11 o'clock, out the door,
We
night,
were aware
night.
at like 8:30.
But that's the thing. When you were leaving, I was like, wow, you
much
are
for cocktail.
really, crapping on us on here. And I looked at the clock, and it was after 11, and I was like,
I was exhausted after that Elmos dinner.
It was.
He got
No,
the
cocktail.
I'm actually trying to defend you right now because I didn't realize it was already 11. Was my point I'm making. I'm like,
Thank
okay, you hung to 11. That's fine.
Yeah. So, can we get your opinion on everything with Jalen before we go any further, since you're dialed into all NFL news, Carmi V?
Yeah, I mean, at first I think, when it initially came out that he was just at the scene and then fled before all the racing, drag racing stuff came out, it was almost one of those things like that's something a team that wants him to drop leaks. But then when you start to realize the severity of it and what they were doing and all, it was a very stupid decision. And Jalen could have just as easily been in the other car, as tragic as that, could have been. And like that's kind of the situation that you have to weigh. Like, okay, you got lucky, but does that then mean though that he doesn't end up dropping? Because essentially he didn't get caught like in the with any sort of substance in his system, anything like that. He didn't crash his car. He was totally fine. He didn't injure himself in any way. He didn't injure someone else. Obviously, was kind of an accomplice to something that was extremely tragic. But at the end of the day, when there aren't kind of tangible consequences, I just feel like in 2 months when the draft rolls around, this is not going to really affect.
You don't think it will?
Yeah, as much as it maybe as it maybe should. Like, I don't want to downplay the severity of any of this. Like, it was a really dumb decision.
Don't you think it'd be really hard though for Ryan Poles to draft him in the top, like let's just say top 4 if they move back to Indy?
Because what they're trying to build in the locker room and try to get.
When you talk about how you prioritize culture, yeah, that makes it's something you would have to atone for, and it would kind of obviously go against what you're saying. So like your actions would contradict what you've been trying to build and say and all that other stuff. But like at the same time, do we know that he is bad in the locker room? I mean, again, this was a really dumb decision. I don't want to downplay the severity of it, but it doesn't really speak a lot to him as a teammate necessarily, or how hard he works on the field.
His
or anything
teammates
like
are
that.
Defending him too,
right? And so when
some are,
yeah. Well, I mean, there's I feel like there's so many dynamics, so many politics that kind of go around when situations like this, especially when his livelihood is at stake. But it would be something that Ryan Poles would have to atone for. But I don't think it's not doable. I'm not really succeeding, but I'm trying to figure out a situation that was kind of comparable. Like in the past, if there's any past precedent for this, and I'm not coming up with.
Well, we had the rug situation, which was different though, because he directly
crashed his car.
Yeah,
and it got arrested on the scene, and was taken to jail, I believe.
But I think you're irresponsible as a team not to consider that could have been an outcome here.
Right, it absolutely could have been.
So I think it's all about how do you prevent this going forward? How big is this issue? Is it just a maturity issue that he grows out of? Like, it sucks that it's even like, but that's what they're going to have to do. You said we had some super chats on this, Lawrence?
We did, and you'll never guess who the first one came from.
Mm-mm.
It would be the Duke for $20.
My man.
He says, good riddance, Jalen Carter. If the allegations are true, that's not a guy I want on my team.
Yeah.
Which that could be the Bears' opinion right now.
Right. Especially, this sucks to say, too, but I feel like it also depends on who's on the board and when they pick. Yeah. If Will Anderson is still there and you're choosing between Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, does this now sway your opinion? Even if you were leaning towards Jalen, now does it you're going to get someone good at the top, and if Will Anderson is still on the board, then I mean this kind of makes this a moot point. But if he's not, again, sucks to say. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I just kind of know the way that this league operates and the emphasis that they place on your on-field contributions, sometimes making up for things off the field.
So think about with George Pickens, right? I think they stayed away from him because there were some off-the-field issues, right? In that second round, he was first-round talent. He was available. They passed on him for that reason. So I think going off their trend, I would have a hard time believing, even if he's cleared of everything, that they're going to go forward with Jalen Carter.
Also, just guessing and reading between the Ryan Poles' lines, and if you missed yesterday's show, you can go back and watch that interview. It's obviously everywhere that we do everything, so it was great to have him here. I think that he's talking about could you make a trade right now? Well, no, we've got to get the medicals, because if there's some guy that we really like, we get at 5, 6, 7, we got to know, or we want one of these 3 available. We've got to know that everyone passes. So to me, it just feels like the Bears are preparing to not be in the top 4. That's a complete guess.
And not in the top 4, so you don't think it'll be going to trade down with Indy?
Right. I think. I mean, that would if I had just listening to him yesterday, and before yesterday, I would have said yes. Like if I had to bet on one spot, I would say 4.
Mm-hmm.
But throw in this news too,
mm-hmm.
I think it makes it easier for them to drop out of the top 4 and try to pick one of the edge rushers that he really likes at 7 and or 9 and acquire first-round draft picks, as many as he can for future years, which I think which we keep hearing that he really wants.
I wonder if Poles knew about this yesterday. And that's
when
he said that.
That's a great point.
I was going to say
they know ahead of time.
I was going to say Corey can speak to how much. Like,
yeah.
I swear they have like a bunch of teenage girls that can comb through social media in 2 seconds, like going back with all these guys, like figuring out every little detail of their life. Like, and the interview process too is very in depth, right?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you guys. So in the interview process, different teams meet with you, and I met with Mike Tomlin, and he was real cool, laid back. Oh, Jersey guy, was it like? Oh, North Jersey, you have siblings, what was your family life like? Simple, right? Casual conversation. Then I met with the Lions and Chris Korosek, who's now the San Francisco 49ers D-line coach. He put all my bad plays up there, ripped me. Oh, this won't get it done. You'll never play in the league like this. And I was like, hey, man, on the next play, I actually got a sack fumble. It was the play for Iowa with Ricky Stanton. And, I made a play. We recovered it. He's like, oh, well, you think you could just outsmart me, Northwestern? And so it's the whole thing. And that year, Des Bryant, there was whisperings that his mom was a former prostitute or something like that. And somebody brought that up to him in one of the team meeting rooms. And
I remember
apparently
that.
He went nuts about it and got really angry and all that. But it just depends on the team. I don't think anybody should dig into something like that, especially a sensitive spot. But teams are ruthless sometimes. It depends on.
Woot, there is a super chat actually. Anthony Ortiz gave us $1.99. Thank you, Anthony. He said, Woot, weirdest question that you got.
I love
during
asking
the
that
draft.
question. What your weirdest question was?
The weirdest question. So a big thing, being at Northwestern, everyone's like, oh, it's academic U. So I feel like people just. They wanted to know, do you love football? They're like, oh, you could get any job you want. You went to Northwestern, the connection's there. Why even here? Save your body, save your brain. Why even here? So a lot of people would ask that, like, what's stopping you from just, getting a regular job and all that? Like, they want to know that you love football. And I told them, football, this has been a dream of mine since I was a kid. I love the game. It's something I've always wanted to do. I want to play. And I think that's the biggest thing that these teams want to know. They don't want a Jamarcus Russell situation,
right?
Where a guy that's just there to grab a check. And there are a lot of guys right here at the Combine right now that really just want to grab the money. Football is something that they're good at, but they're not really passionate about it. So I think teams really want to know that you're passionate about the game. It means everything to you, and that's why they kind of weed out some guys here or there that you're like, I'm surprised they didn't pick them. But some of those meetings will tell you everything you need to know.
We were talking during the Stacey Dales interview about the Combine and experience you had. They woke you up at 3:30 in the morning?
3:30 in the morning. So they knock on your door for a drug test.
3:30.
3:30 in the morning, right? And this is the same day that you have to do all the on-the-field stuff. So they want to see how you do the interview process, how you do the workouts, how you do the Wonderlic test while you're tired. It's kind of like that military-type training. They want to see how
Did you know that's coming?
No.
Or they just all of a sudden, you had no idea that someone was knocking on your
Yeah, they
door?
were like, on the thing, it said random drug test. Didn't say what time. So literally, knock on the door, 3:30. I'm like, what the heck? They're like, yeah, you got to do your drug test. I'm like, okay.
So they say, hey, Corey, it's so-and-so.
Yeah.
We need.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, well, we need to do this now. And there was all these things that weren't on the list, and you're like, oh, I see what this is. I knew right away. I said, they're trying to mess with us. They just want to see how you perform when you're tired.
Well, even in those interview processes, I feel like, to your story about Des Bryant, a lot of times I feel like they'll also bring things up not to grill you about it, but to see how you react. Exactly. And then it's all these mind games, and that goes into all the testing and everything like that. It's wild, kind of the Jedi mind tricks that these guys use to evaluate players and who they are, actually are, as because anybody can present themselves for a half an hour in an interview well. But if you kind of put all these other factors in and all of the mind games that end up getting played, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I think the interviews, are great. I think the on-the-field stuff is overrated, in my opinion, right? Because I think the tape doesn't lie. Yeah. Obviously, if you're narrowing down to a guy and you want to see what he's going to run, I get it for a receiver, running back, whatever. But most of the time, the tape will tell you everything you need to know. And, people always call it the underwear Olympics because it really is. I mean, I think people sometimes get too elevated for what 40 they run. If the guy's on tape and he looks like he runs a 4.3, if no one's catching him, it doesn't matter what his 40 is, right? Because he's in full pads. So people always do that all the time. There's guys that elevate just because of 40.
I'm thinking about polls right now, talking about Sanborn yesterday when he was on with us.
Exactly.
You gotta have the instincts, right? To play, especially defensively. You gotta have a knack for getting to the football, and it's not some of that tape that you and I broke down during the season, Woot, where it's just like, how did he get from here to here? Like, got through all this traffic and like. So what his 40 time was last year?
I know.
Like, he just did it.
The 40, I think, is just the most overrated of all of – because, like, how often are you just running in a straight line? It's more of the 3-cone thing, I think, is a little bit more valuable to like, test your burst and, like, your get-off and all that kind of stuff. But the 40, I just feel like, is so –
Jerry Rice, 4.69, I think he ran. Was anyone catching him? Ray Lewis ran a 5.0.
Yeah.
Terrell Suggs ran a 4.98.
Plus, most of these guys you hear about that could break like 4.2 that we hear every year, like, this guy's going to run 4.2.
John Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like,
what did Kevin White run?
Do those 4.2 guys ever turn into players?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
The tape doesn't lie.
Yeah.
People, even people have been doing it for a long time, they put too much emphasis on this, right? The tape is going to tell you everything you need to know. Then you have the guys that went to the Senior Bowl or the East-West game, and you get to see them in person in different schemes you want to see. So I think that's the best evaluation you can, the tape and the Senior Bowl or East-West game.
And maybe measurables, too. I've heard a lot of guys do place a lot of emphasis on, like, I think there's an advanced metric now that kind of combines – measurables and stuff to
these
able
RAS
to kind of,
scores.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. I don't think we can completely dismiss it because it's interesting. These RAS scores have actually sort of dictated and predicted who the elite players become.
Right.
So, like, the traits do still matter. It doesn't
necessarily come out in the...
You got to thread the needle between the two. Yeah. You can't just be like, I'm all in on this guy because he's got the greatest athletic score, which, by the way, the Bears do put a lot of emphasis on.
How many times did Tyree Wilson have to open up his arms today? What's the over-under? Because everybody's just talking about his wingspan.
Were you? I don't think it was you because you just got here. Somebody was telling me that they think that the Bears like Tyree Wilson more
than Will Anderson?
More than Will Anderson, exactly.
I disagree with that. I think Tyree Wilson will be a great player, but I think he's more of a left end, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm putting more emphasis on the right end, Will Anderson, the blind side of the quarterback. And so I think for me, I like Will Anderson a lot better in that regard.
Hit the like button if you want to hear our Will Anderson back and forth today, which I think we probably should play.
Oh, that's right. We have that, right?
I do have a super chat I want to hit first, though. It's more about the Jalen Carter situation. It's from Doug Van Dorn, $5. Thanks, Doug.
What's up, Doug?
He said, so if Carter's off the table, how do you think the Bears will address 3-tech? Please name names. Lol.
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 I got it.
It's a great question.
So a guy that I'm really Kalijah Cansey. We saw him.
Uh-huh.
In my opinion, I think he's the best 3 technique that's not Jalen Carter in this draft. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Donald. I know Aaron Donald is, but 6 foot, probably going to be around 280, 285. I mean, quickness. From the tape I've watched, I mean, flies off the ball, his hand usage, his penetration. And that's exactly what you need in the 3 technique
spot.
in the Tampa 2. But his stock is going to elevate. He's going to blow up the combine. I think he'll probably realistically be in that first round, I think, towards the end. But if he ever slipped to the second, that would be a really good pickup because I think he's one of the more talented defensive tackles.
What do you think the gap is between Jalen Carter and him?
So, in my opinion, I think he's just as talented as him, and he plays with more of a motor, right? So, if I'm looking at that, yeah, I do.
We sizzling with this one,
especially in pass rushing. I think Jalen Carter's a little bit better in the run game, but as far as pass rushing, I think he's more talented.
See, here's what's great about our draft database. Woot just said that. I went to Kalijah Cansey's page. I added that in there. The best 3 technique in the draft that is not Jalen Carter, Corey Wootton.
Yep.
It's in right there in the notes, so now we don't forget that it's there. and on draft night when the Bears take him.
I don't know if it'll be that high, but we'll see.
Wood and I were hanging out about 10 feet from here an hour ago, and he walked right past us, and I said, you got 10 minutes. Can we do something really quick? And he was very fast getting away from us.
I got to work out.
I mean, I got to work out.
Big dude, though, right?
Oh, I mean,
stack, man.
Yeah,
put together.
The neck was enormous, and I'm like, you really don't need to work out. In fact, you definitely have 2 minutes.
How do you think you got like that?
That's okay. It's fine. When Corey Wootton gets excited about dudes like it excites me because obviously Wootton knows what he's looking at.
But talking about measurables, I think people are kind of overlooking him, even though they've seen the success of a guy like Aaron Donald. They're like
6'2", 280.
Well, he doesn't fit the mold. But in this Tampa 2 scheme, it's all about quickness and get off. And he has the size. Penetration disrupts everything. And that's what sometimes people fail to realize. That's why I think Will Anderson could be a great fit at that right end. Reminds me a lot of Simeon Rice.
Well, that is
what a good pull.
That's the other side of the news today, by the way, because you did feel comfortable that if you did trade down to 4, that you were going to get either Carter and or Anderson. You might not. Right now, you would think that.
Well, Anderson, apparently, I wasn't there. We got some of it. Anderson was awesome today.
He was.
Right? So I think we're going to play some of that for you right here so you can hear what you're talking about. Not a great day for Jalen Carter. Sounds like a good day, though, for Will Anderson.
Athletic and pass rush. I'm super excited. All the work has been good, but I feel like what I bring to the table, just consistency, being humble. Whatever culture I'm in, I'm going to do things the right way, and I think that's what sets me apart.
What does it mean to have your name in the mix for the number 1 pick?
Yeah, it means a lot. That just shows all your hard work has been paying off. All the sacrifices, blood, sweat, and tears you've been doing to get up into this moment. It's super exciting. It's a blessing.
1, 2, 3, 4. Do you care where you go?
No, sir. Yeah, for me, I like the forklift move. I like to watch Nick Bosa a lot. I like the way he do his bull swipe and stuff like that, so I try to implement that in my game.
Well, how much would it mean to be drafted number 1 overall by the Bears if that did happen?
Yeah, most definitely. It would mean a lot. Like I said, just all my hard work paying off, and just to have that spot, it's big time, and I'm really appreciative if I had got that opportunity.
Study up on those teams, like study up on the Bears and
kind
of look at what
of course. My agency Clutch, they do a really good job of making sure that we have all the information that we need and everything like that, so it's good.
Have you met with the Bears yet?
Yes, I have.
Just once so far?
Yes. Yes, I have.
How did the meeting with the Bears go?
It went really good, went in there, watched a couple of tape, really just got to know me, got to know them, and the culture is great there, and I can tell they're on something special.
Well, how do you...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, we just went in there, watched tape, got to know each other, and I'm very excited about the Texans as well.
Well, how do you think you would fit with a Bears defense where you'd be 4th in the defensive end, have a hand in the dirt? How do you think it would feel?
Yeah, I feel like football is all about embracing the change. So, no matter, what type of defense I get in, I'm going to adapt to it, and I'm going to be able to embrace the change and embrace the challenge that's there and, learn the lessons that come with it. And that's what I'm very excited about. Just whatever defense I get in, learning how to operate throughout it and having fun doing it.
So there's a little of Will Anderson, and I got to say, as
impossible not to like the guy.
Right, and as some of those things I shared earlier in the show about, what the buzz on Jalen Carter, even before this news came out, the buzz in the last couple nights talking to people, it's been the exact opposite with Will Anderson. They're like, he's
perfect.
The safest prospect you could draft.
Yeah. But if you look at him, he's not that.
And that's the thing. He
doesn't look very big. Just doesn't.
Woot doesn't seem to care, though.
He plays big.
Oh, Simeon Rice was very undersized for that right end in that Tampa 2. And he played the run well, was a great pass rusher. That's the thing. People always think, you need this stoutness. You need to be 270, 280. It's all about quickness. You set the edge by getting penetration.
And strength, too. I mean, just because, again, we talk about measurables, not getting necessarily caught up with that. Yeah. I mean, it matters how big you play, and he plays big.
Simeon Rice, I don't even know if he was 235 when he played. Lean dude.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy. Wow.
Was able to play the run against, Jonathan Ogden, Walter Jones, those type of guys, and be stout against them. And those are some big dudes. So I think that's telling you everything you need to know.
Well, this is interesting now. And Carmi, while we were playing the Will Anderson thing, Carmi brought up a good point that I think we need to talk about is how does this Jalen Carter news affect the Bears trade back options?
Right.
Because we've always kind of said, okay, you go back to 4, you're basically guaranteed either Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. But now if you don't want Jalen Carter, the Cardinals could easily take Will Anderson at 3.
Yep, likely take him. Hit the like button if you want the Bears to draft Will Anderson #1 overall and not trade out.
Well, if you're going to do that,
just go to 2. Just go to 2.
Yeah,
or go to 2.
If that's on the table, though.
I do have some super chats kind of regarding this topic. First of all, our good friend Sangray Kim, $5. Thank you. This is a blessing in disguise. We're now not bound by, quote, we can't go past number 4, unquote, anymore. Opens up possibility for garnering more picks, trading for stars. Okay. And then Adrian Shake, $4.99. That's pounds sterling, I believe.
Shake and bake, what's up?
One of the big reasons why we didn't want to trade too far back was to draft top defensive talent. With this situation, should we look at offense? Wide receiver 1.
So that's another Wood comment from today.
I think my ideal scenario, everything with Jalen Carter right now, is trading back with the Colts, getting a deal where we can get DeForest Buckner, right? Him and Matt Eberflus coached him, right? We got the 3 technique. He's only 28 years old. Since he's been a starter, he's averaged 7.5 sacks per season since he's been a starter, since he's moved from San Francisco. Then get some additional draft picks. I feel like it's easier this year in free agency and the draft to find talent at defensive end, 2nd, 3rd round, and then free agency. So that would be my ideal situation right now. And then if Will Anderson is there, at the 4 position, you take him.
That's interesting.
What's the trade is you're probably not getting next year's first-round pick in that situation, I'm thinking. So what if the trade is you move back to 4, but you get Buckner and the 34 overall pick?
That's right. Yep.
I like that.
I do that trade.
I would. He's only 28 years old. You need a 3 technique. 3 techniques are going to be hard to find, right? They just tagged Payne. Looks like Hargrave they're going to tag as well. So I think defensive tackle, the 3 technique, is going to be harder to find through the free agency.
Oh, for sure.
What about our guy Adetomiwa Adebawore?
That is one of my favorite guys in this draft right now. You look at what he did at the Senior Bowl. He was playing out of position at Northwestern. He was playing mostly defensive end. He's a natural 3 technique. You look at the Senior Bowl, he lit it up on there. Power, hands. I mean, arguably one of the hottest names in there. He went from, before that being
one
a
of the
late round.
Names, that's for sure.
Yeah, very, very hard.
Hardest and hottest.
I always say Adebayor. That's my guy right there. But he was like a 7th round pick, probably projection. And I think he's elevated himself to that second day. I think a lot of teams are intrigued with him. He kind of reminds me of Dean Lowry just being out of position at Northwestern, right? I talked about this whole – Dean Lowry played left end for Northwestern. I think he was a fit at 3 technique. So I think it hurt him a little bit in the draft. He ended up going 4th round. But I think this guy, just his stock just continues to elevate. And as a 3 technique, I think the sky is the limit for him.
I like that there's other options that you're excited about.
Yeah. And again, it stresses, though, that, like, just if you don't get a guy in the first round, that doesn't mean he's not a game changer. That doesn't mean he's not an immediate impact player. I think we just get so caught up in the first 32 picks, or 31 this year, that you don't, you don't take into account, again, we just talked about Jack Sanborn, guys like that just make a complete impact but are taken in the later rounds.
Are you hearing anything about the quarterback movement situation? Anybody falling in love with Bryce Young that just has to have him? Have you ran into anything like that, Carmi V?
No, but everything that's kind of come out in the last week about Anthony Richardson has been so right before that kind of came out, I started talking to some of my friends, the scout friends in the league, and I was like, listen, is this a guy we're not talking about enough? Like, is he potential top 5? And they were like, we'll know more next week throughout the interview process, but talent-wise, yes. Like, he seems like the league seems sold on Anthony Richardson. So, like, I think that there's a world where 4 quarterbacks go in the top 5 picks.
Keep an eye on the Raiders.
Yeah.
With Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I was shown video of Anthony Richardson at the bar last night by my friend Eddie, who works for the Raiders, who's sitting right over there. He pulled out his phone and he's like, "Come on, look at these highlights." And I was like, "If I was wide open," I'm like, "Come on."
If he lasts that long,
they're calling him a combination of Cam Newton and Justin Fields. I think that's what people have been saying. I don't know. I think this year's draft as a quarterback, in my opinion, I don't think any of these guys are worthy of where they're going to go.
Yeah, but I agree with
I feel like it's very rare that quarterbacks ever are.
Caleb Williams next year. If he was coming out this year, then we could be talking about some scenarios.
But but I do think, while I agree with you, I also think that Richardson has like the traits and just reading the tea leaves already that one of these teams is going to overdraft him.
Mm-hmm.
And they might even someone said to me, don't be surprised if that ends up being the number 1 pick. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
He's been moving up the gambling board.
So did they play him right away, or they sit him behind a veteran? Is it like a Jared Goff type situation?
I always think that's an ideal situation, especially and that was one thing that I was talking through about Anthony Richardson, was that he's still raw when it comes to the kind of mental quarterback processing part of it. He's got the brute talent and the arm and all of, the measurables that look, befit a perfect quarterback, but he still needs to develop. So ideally, yeah. But, I mean, then it's the constant battle that teams are at with themselves which is, if we take a guy top 5, say he does go top 5, that better be someone that starts for us right away.
Exactly. If I'm a GM,
it's not fair.
I got to have a guy in the top 5 that's playing for me day one.
You can play Matt Ryan for a half a year and do it in Indianapolis. Go right ahead.
Let me ask you, since Carmen's here, we got to ask her about the NFC North. I find this fascinating. I don't think it's getting enough attention. Everyone's talking about Aaron Rodgers for good reason.
2 wipes. That was amazing.
Oh, stop. I don't. Oh.
What?
Did you not see that quote by him?
It was so
by
bad.
who?
It was so bad.
By Aaron.
Oh, he did 2 wipes?
He talked about his whole thing in the dark, that everything was smooth.
Don't make me end the show.
Here I am trying to ask a legitimate question about what's going on with the Vikings and Lions.
I'm just giving you, I'm giving you the news.
I hate potty humor, too. That's like my one flaw. But character,
it's not a flaw.
You literally just proved what I was saying.
Okay, good.
Which was like, everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers. Carm's talking about how many times he wipes.
He's talking about it.
No, you are.
Oh, my God.
Both are.
Now,
hit the like button, please.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Wipe twice.
Please, just
where are the Vikings on Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Because they have a second-year GM. They definitely liked Justin Fields a few years ago, and were hoping he fell to them. They took Kellen Mond, that obviously didn't work out. I just feel like at some point I don't know if it's now, I don't know if it's how far away we are from it, but like at some point the Vikings are going to make a move on a young quarterback, I feel like. But
I don't. It's not
hearing
it's
that
not
at
this
all.
Year. It's not this year.
What about Jared Goff and the Lions? Like, are they?
I think they're a very interesting scenario, because I do think that if they took a quarterback, I mean, they have 2 first-round picks. They took a quarterback with one of those picks, like a Will Levis. I'm firmly in the camp of like keeping Jared Goff and then letting someone else develop behind him. And you can afford to do that. Like, a lot of teams won't do that with their first-round guys, because, that capital is so precious. They have 2 first-round picks. So I don't think they're going to feel as bad by taking a quarterback now, letting him develop under Goff, and then kind of letting him grow with this really young team. That would be my scenario.
Do you think Goff is the future in Detroit? Or?
No, I think he's probably a placeholder for this season in a scenario like that. But it's kind of unfair, though. I spent a lot of this past season talking about how well Jared Goff, even when they were losing, it wasn't because of the offense. This was a top 5 offense.
Goff was better than Cousins. I maintain it.
He was.
Goff was better than Cousins this year.
How do you feel about Cousins? Because for me, I think he's the regular season wonder. I think he does so great when everything's good, and then all of a sudden, when the playoffs hit, dun 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 dun, he struggles.
I get that, but you look at that game against the Giants this year, and Kirk was not the reason they lost that game at all. And this is kind of what, and I've said this to Vikings fans a bunch. I haven't been in the trenches with you for decades. I haven't been getting my hopes up and having to be proven wrong over and over and over again. And I get that you're a little shell-shocked when it comes to a guy like Kirk Cousins, who hasn't historically performed in big moments. But his relationship with Kevin O'Connell is something that we're not talking enough about, because I saw Kirk get emotional at the podium on Thanksgiving, talking about how supported he now feels, how just by the entire team, by Kevin O'Connell, by this new offense. It's kind of, the same kind of scheme that he's been used to almost his entire career. But that kind of intangibility matters. And if you look at what went wrong for the Vikings this year, they were different issues, and it wasn't Kirk. So, and I know that Kevin is a huge fan of Kirk's. They have a bond going back to Washington. He's always believed in him, and I think he just needed to be armed with that. Now, I think they've got a lot more work just to do on the defensive side of the ball, but I think they're a lot closer than people think. I mean, there was obviously some truth to the point differential matching their win total, and obviously that got exposed in the playoffs. But I don't think that they're that far off, and the issue, though, is that they don't have a lot of draft capital to kind of work with to figure it all out.
Ron Rivera right in front of us. If Greg Braggs can just get him to come on over here, that'd be amazing.
Well, he's sitting down with someone else, so that's going to be tough.
You got anything to yell at Ron Rivera?
Definitely.
You psycho.
Great former Bear. Great former Bear. Should have been the head coach of the Bears.
Settled.
Number 59. Let's go. Come on down.
Carm's going to get us kicked out of here.
I was going to say. Act like you've been here before,
You asked me, I delivered.
I was
and
being
now,
sarcastic.
And now you're mad.
See, at the Super Bowl, you got away with this because the Super Bowl radio row is a little less professional, a little louder. You could yell things like an arguable goat at Joe Montana and not get arrested.
Let's settle down. I've seen the people walking around here. Come on.
Carm hit some curls this morning at the Airbnb.
Chico. I'd love to talk to him.
He's a great guy. He probably would
he's a great
down.
guy.
He actually would sit down with us like Bruce Arians did in Arizona.
He appreciates that energy.
We have some super chats.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we do have super chats, but we also have almost 1,300 people watching and only 216 likes. So
that is the sound of Lawrence
hit the like button,
you.
please. Please, we need you. It helps
Hit
us
the
out,
like button
please.
if you want Ron Rivera to come on the show and you appreciated my effort.
Hit the like button if you'd like Carm to stop yelling random things to strangers, or if you
or talking about Aaron Rodgers' bathroom habits,
or about that,
and
all
showing me that weird headline you just showed me, and I hate you for it.
You need to be up on the news.
No, that's not news. That's TMZ.
Thank you.
It's not just on TMZ.
All right, so we got a few super chats. Daniel Trump threw us $5 to say, Jesus, how do you not draft Will Anderson at number 1? He has 14 million sacks, and the rest of this is about not being involved in a bad, awful thing that Jalen Carter did. And he seems like a great guy. So thank you, Daniel.
By the way, thank you, Daniel. And Greg Braggs is lurking in front of us, and he has been talking to the Panthers about Bryce Young, so that we might have to throw Braggs in here for a second.
Okay,
but
I was going to say, I actually need to tap out because Kevin O'Connell's about to come to the podium
we're
in
about
about 10
an hour
minutes.
15 in the show here.
So you want to tag you in? Tag you in?
Just tag in.
5-minute tag in for Braggs. Guy's been grinding left and right, except
Carmi, you're the best. Appreciate you.
The best.
Love you
The
guys.
best.
Woo! All right.
Major downgrade.
I like when Carmi comes on and
major downgrade. Major downgrade. Major downgrade.
See how this starts. It's got to start off on the
All right,
wrong foot.
Okay, before we get into Bragg's nonsense, a couple more super chats here.
Nonsense.
I've been working here.
I know.
Braggs has been the most professional CHGO person here today besides Corey Wootton.
Or me.
Slow down now.
Definitely not me.
The Duke chimes in with a $10 super chat. He says the Cardinals also said they're open to trading their pick. That means our value goes down, no?
I don't know if
gotta do the physics or the mental.
I don't know if the value goes down.
Calculus.
It depends.
I'm not following the logic here.
Well, the logic would be if teams are like, I want any of these 3 quarterbacks. Well, I'll just go to Arizona instead of 1, and I don't have to pay as much. I don't think that is how it operates. These teams tend to fall in love with one guy.
Everybody has their guy.
Yeah.
One guy, and they were like, okay. And I could see how there's a team that's just like the Bears hold all the cards right now because they have the first pick.
Yep.
They can have anybody. So if there could be a team that's just like, I don't want to play games. I want to know I'm getting my guy. What do we have to get?
Exactly.
Call up Brian. What do we have to give you to get the number 1?
Well, that's what people are talking about. Why not just pick Will Anderson with the number 1? We have so many needs. You have to trade back. At this point to get maybe another player, get some more picks. Like there's so many needs. Think about it. We need 4 new defensive linemen. We need a tackle. We need a guard for sure. Mm-hmm. We need a number 1 receiver. A lot of needs to fill. And not that many picks. We do have a lot of money, but there's a lot of things to cover.
Hit the like button if you're happy to see Greg Braggs and hear what he's about to say about Frank Wright.
And I'm not dressed like I'm going to church today.
Wait, what did you wear yesterday? Your Sunday's best?
Had a collared
It was my
shirt
first day doing this, Corey. I had to dress nice.
He looked like a complete loser.
Somebody said on Twitter I looked like a middle school teacher.
He did. It was embarrassing.
You had a little bit of a teacher vibe going.
And I barely fit in it, Corey, so I don't even know what I was doing. I tried too hard.
You have it tucked in?
I tried way too hard.
Tucked in.
Today I'm in my wheelhouse, Corey.
Tucked in with a bad belt.
I was doing my best to look professional.
I
You're a true
appreciated the
professional,
effort.
man.
I appreciated it too.
He's a lunch pail guy, but he cleans up nice. He had the
Yeah.
collared shirt,
He had
nice
good
belt.
shoes on,
He had
too.
loafers
He had
too.
good shoes
Thank you,
yesterday.
Lauren.
Look, last year, I used to come here and like wear like a suit jacket, and now I'm pretty much wearing a hoodie every day of my life.
I feel much
and
more
I don't
comfortable
care if
than
I'm
It's
at
the era
home
of
or
being
here.
casual.
I feel
man.
much.
I like it.
I like it.
That's what we're all about at All City.
I
too.
feel much more comfortable today in my clothes and in the scene. I walked away while you guys were doing a good job on the show. I come behind the curtain, and Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer, the head coach and GM of the Panthers, were on. And so I started getting questions. I'm like, hey, I ain't got to be as shy around the Panthers media scrum. So, I asked Frank Reich about Bryce Young, and he gave a really long answer. And then about what makes him great, and he said his poise and some of spoke very highly of him. And then when somebody asked him about Will Levis, he answered. It took him like 2 seconds to answer it. So you could tell there was a difference in how much he valued Bryce Young. And then when I asked him,
that means he loves with Levis.
and then when
Exactly. They always try to distract you.
Do a straight line.
The old okey doke.
and then could be playing a little poker. And then when I asked him, is the size a concern? He said, well, it's always a concern, but there's a reason he's up there. And the special.
That's what she said.
Yes, that's what she said. And see what I'm saying? I'm trying to be professional, to give you the breakdown quickly.
Well, you should have worn your middle school teacher
I
outfit.
should have worn
them.
They'd be taking me more seriously if I wore the middle school
I was gonna
outfit.
let it go, and then you added the extra thing, and I'm like, I can't
All right,
do it. I'm
Michael
not
Scott,
mature enough.
listen.
Yeah.
Hit the like button if you like those
And he
comments.
said, the special quarterbacks, even if they're small, they're a reason they're special regardless of that fact. So it seemed like they were really locked in on that. The GM, Scott Fitterer, doubled down on that statement about Bryce Young, and then also added, ideally, you want to start with a young quarterback because the Panthers are cap strapped, so they've got to try to get out from under the cap. And to me, that means instead of paying $50 million for Derek Carr, who they interviewed yesterday, have a chance to trade up to one and get your quarterback where you're not paying him for the first 5 years. So I think I've always had my eye on the Panthers, and after today, I'm even more convinced that they're going to try to go up and get their guy.
I hope you're right. Bears fans all hope you're right. Shane Steichen, by the way, the Colts head coach, and their GM Chris Ballard is speaking in a couple of minutes too. So perhaps there'll be a little bit of news coming out of that.
Good info, Braggs. If only Carm had done some of this
Oh,
morning.
here it
Carm's
comes.
get me lunch.
Did you even
do this?
Did
do
Hoge,
that.
did you even go on that side of the curtain today?
Yeah, he didn't.
Hoge's
That's
on
true.
this side of the curtain.
Hoge's
He's a savvy
Hollywood
vet. He's
Hoge.
a savvy vet, man.
Hollywood Hoge.
It's not his
Hoge's
first rodeo.
making moves at 1:30 in the morning and not worried about
Exactly.
which lineman showing up at 8 a.m.
He's networking.
That-
all
that
right?
It was Tyree Wilson, by the way.
Great.
We missed it.
That was a great call by Braggs. For now on, it's Hollywood Hoge.
Instead of Hollywood Hogan, we got Hollywood Hoge.
You know what the name? You know what these guys are calling me? They're calling me Hotel Hoge.
For life.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess
Hotel
I'm
Hoge.
with you over there.
That's
huh?
what they were
At the
going last
hotel?
night. The Hotel Hoge. Okay.
He's at the
Yes,
Hoge.
I am, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I-
It's the hotel people on this side,
don't-
Airbnb over there. All right?
Yeah, you got it. The Raggedy
joined
Ann
you.
house.
I should have joined
You're
you.
missing it.
My
Raggedy Carm.
my highlight over
Raggedy
there
Ann.
was
Exactly.
there was a lot of good stuff over there today, but Mustafer, PJ Mustafer.
Do we need another
Are you
Mustafa?
currently Googling right now what was
No,
over
he's
there?
looking up who he talked to.
Everybody relax on what I'm doing on my phone. PJ Mustafer is my guy. Penn
You don't
State,
have a good poker face.
Penn State D lineman.
Shout out to Tommy Christian who's training PJ Mustafer.
I talked to him earlier. I haven't
Yeah.
seen him in a while, man. It's good to
Tommy's
see Tommy.
Great dude. TC Boost in Northbrook.
Brother
Great
of-
place. Go check it out.
Obviously, brother of Sam Mustafer. It's on our Twitter, CHGO Bears. I just got in there. You want to come and wreck your brother in practice already? Yeah, I do. War is war. I mean, he's my brother, but war is war.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Sibling rivalry.
Let's go. Let's go. Sibling rivalry Bears. I don't want to hear one negative thing about Sam Mustafer either. Guy was solid this year. I'll go two Mustafers, PJ and Sam. Let's go.
You're doubling the mustard for
I want the double mustard.
I liked Tyree Wilson a lot this morning, and now with this unfortunate news with Jalen Carter, I just think that makes the 4 spot even less valuable. Because if you trade back to 4, maybe you get some good picks, but are you really going to reach for Tyree Wilson at 4? That seems high for him, or Peter Skoronski, which are top needs. Those guys aren't going at 4. So it just kind of changes the dynamic of trading with Indy.
I'm much more open today to trading farther back than I think I was yesterday. I think that Jalen Carter news really, but at the same time, I guess it doesn't really affect the trade value, but removing a player like that out of the top 5 is.
No, it's not going to change the trade value for the teams kind of trying to get up because they're trying to get a quarterback.
I know.
It hurts us where we want to go because now it's limited. If we want to stay in the Will Anderson range, we can only trade back to 2. The further back you go, you're not getting
4
Will Anderson.
Potentially, depending on what Arizona does.
They
got a lot of needs.
Yes, but I just think there's no way Will Anderson falls to 4 now at this point. I'd love it.
For me, it's 4 or 9, and we got to get a player, whether it's Buckner or Burns, if we're trading there, to have that value, because then you pick up a piece that you need. So I think that would be the most value. But what do y'all think about Skoronski? He's a guy that I really love. People have been talking about measurables, his arms being shorter. Same thing with Rashawn Slater, man.
Well, he's a Wildcat, so that concerns me.
Oh, here we go. Look at the last Wildcat that was drafted at left tackle, Rashawn Slater, right?
I'm just making fun of Carm. I know you do.
Yeah, but be careful here.
I know. I know.
Come on, guys.
You might want to check yourself.
I got 20 on Penn State tonight.
But think about it. Rashawn Slater.
20.
Yeah, we're going big bucks around here.
Rashawn Slater, 2021 season, was one of the best left tackles in the game as a rookie, right? Last year he got injured. But same thing. They criticized his arm length and things like that. He's been a shutdown. You look at the tape of Skoronski, right? His footwork is impeccable. His strength is there. His ability. He locked down Aiden Hutchinson 2 years ago. Completely locked him down. His run blocking, he's able to cut off, make every block. He has the strength. He has the footwork. For me, I think he's a better prospect than Paris Johnson from Ohio State because of his footwork, right? And Skoronski can play left tackle. He could be a really good left tackle, and I think he can play guard if you need.
I think he's one of the safest picks in the draft.
100%.
Because I'm still optimistic that he can be a tackle.
I think so.
I get some of the concerns, but I think the tape speaks for itself. And you know what? If those doubters are right and the arm length is a concern because he can't get his hands on the DNs quick enough, I think he's going to be a dominant guard because he seems to – correct me if I'm wrong. When he got there, he played right tackle, right? Because Slater was still there.
Yeah, he played right
tackle that year, and I was still doing Northwestern games that year. Yeah, and then he moved over to the left. Yeah. First of all, he got there, played right tackle seamlessly in the COVID year where the offseason program was on and off and jaded, and he walked straight from Maine South right over to the Big Ten and played well. Then okay, now Slater's out of the picture. It's your turn to go to left, no problem whatsoever. I think he's one of the safest players in the draft.
He's one of the most technical left tackles we've seen in a while. I think his technique is one of the best I've seen.
That is a clip right there. Skoronski, Bears, let's go. Versatile, can do anything.
Be great.
Imagine having him at the left side, have Braxton Jones over the right side. He had an off season of really getting stronger. Then all of a sudden you have 2 right tackles that are staples locked up for the next couple of years. And then you get a guard. And I was telling them this. I think the most important thing this offseason, regardless of anything, is getting that offensive line set, getting another tackle, getting a left guard, and getting a number 1 wide receiver. And I think if they don't do that, I think it's a little disappointment for me in this offseason.
Justin Fields deserves it.
He does.
If they don't, I'm going to be furious.
Look at Jalen Hurts last year to this year.
Right.
A.J. Brown, they already had a great offensive line. A.J. Brown made such a world of difference. A guy that can go up and get those 50-50 balls. It took the pressure off Smith, and then all of a sudden you have this 2 wide receiver tandem that's going up and getting balls. So I think he has to do that for Justin Fields this offseason.
All right, Ron Rivera looks like he's getting done over there, Braggs. I think you should go walk over the sea, standing up.
Hey, Chico,
don't do it.
Do it.
I will kill you.
Why? You don't want to talk to Ron Rivera? Go say hi. Go say hi.
The one thing that you guys definitely don't comprehend is
we're supposed to be professional.
No, not that. It's just how this works. Like I saw Josh McCown earlier. You're like, did you get him on the show? It's like, they don't let the assistant coaches just go on Radio Row. That's not how this works.
Hold on.
This is Podcast Island.
Calm
Podcast Island.
Slow your roll. This is not my first rodeo over here. You absolutely could ask Ron Rivera if he's got 10 minutes, and Chico might do it. He absolutely might.
Sure. Well, that's a little different. I agree.
But we can end the show because Lawrence.
Well, we can't just yet because I've got a couple super chats. This is from Luke Engelhard, $1.99.
Ready to go.
Thoughts on Jeffrey Simmons and pick number 11.
Boom.
And future picks. Jeffrey Simmons.
Sure.
Pick number 11 and future
interception.
Picks. Yeah, no?
Say it again. Nobody's listening.
Yeah, they're over here playing.
I'm playing catch. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Thoughts?
I'm angry at Hoge. He's like, you can't do that.
Well, did you do it?
No,
Go prove it. Prove it.
Now he's lost.
Oh, okay.
You could run.
I will prove something tomorrow.
He's right over there.
I will prove something tomorrow.
If I went over there and was like, Mark Carman had your jersey
all you have
as
to
a
do
kid.
is go over there and tell him that you're Greg Braggs and you love you've been doing things around the Bears for a decade plus. And at 59 was my favorite.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate everything you've done for the league on and off the field. Do you have 5 seconds to talk, 5 minutes to talk to Chicago? You got at least a 22% chance, Matt Forte, that he would do it.
Lawrence, I'm just telling you right now, this is definitely going to be one of those shows where you just hit the end button on Carm at some
Correct.
point. Because he is just.
Hey, Lawrence, what you said about Simmons? I mean, he had 7.5 last year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we D tackles are going to be hard to find in free agency in this draft. So I think Simmons, being a pass rusher inside, could fit that 3 technique. We need some options, especially with Carter most likely being off the list. And then judging on how everything's going to shake out, I wouldn't be upset with that. We could fill one of those needs.
Yeah. That's what I need. I want someone to answer the question. Well, we've got one other super chat here from Jacob P.
Okay. Shout out to our guy Jared Leston who came out and hung with us.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
He says, "Dreamy Bears fan here," and this is a dream.
Dream a little.
What if the Bears managed to get Will Anderson and Jalen Carter in the first? Wouldn't that be an ideal scenario?
How would that happen?
Yeah, I mean,
because you get the Texans 2 picks, and then you end up taking Carter at 12.
I guess so. I
don't think it's very likely. I think it's yesterday would have said impossible. Today, I guess it's potentially possible after that news.
Let me ask you this: if it came down to the Colts, let's just say the Colts and the Texans, you could if you want to add the Panthers. If one of those teams was offering a future first-round pick, or the Texans were offering you 12 this year, which one would you prefer?
You take the pick. This year's pick's more valuable. It's now. You take this year's first-round pick.
What have you done for me lately?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's how they're valued, too. Like, a future first is not as valuable on the point chart as this year's first.
Stupid question. Okay.
Okay. Here's one that's not stupid.
It wasn't that stupid. I get it.
I just am obsessed with Marvin Harrison Jr., so I think about next year.
Well, and that's a real
We're losing
thing.
Carm, guys. We're losing Carm. Steve B.
He's falling asleep.
I've had enough.
Are there any number 1 wide receivers in the draft? Is there anyone that's a number 1 at the receiver position in this
Good
draft?
question. And my answer is yes, but it's not a clear cut. That guy's a 1. So
that's a no.
Well, I think that.
I mean,
I think
it's not a no. I'm saying he's going to develop into a 1.
Who's that?
So,
yes, but it's not clear cut that he's a 1. That was your answer.
My point.
That sounds like the Bears wide receiver room.
Don't you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if it's Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't know if it's Quentin Johnston. One of those dudes is going to turn into a number 1 receiver. That's all I'm saying.
What about Zay Flowers?
Yeah, sure, that's your guy.
He's my number 1 right
that's
now.
That's fine. Great.
That dude is jacked.
He's not
going to
get
those photos of him after he put on 13 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, and he's quick. For a smaller guy, he goes up and gets it. When we talk about measurables, everybody's like, oh, well, Quentin Johnston, 6'4", and all this. He doesn't high point the ball very much, right? And that's very concerning. Sometimes I question his speed. It reminds me a little bit of Kevin White, and no disrespect to him by any means, but
don't want to hear that name around here.
Yeah, but
don't do that.
I think Zay Flowers, in my opinion, is my favorite receiver in this draft.
All right, this is a fun show today.
Hair Bear said it's time for Carm to pull the socks next to his ears.
That's a great idea. Hair Bear, you're the man.
Appreciate the
a little bit of coffee.
1,300 people watching live today. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, notifications so you know when we go live. Appreciate everyone being here. If you're listening to the podcast the old-fashioned way, please rate and review it, especially on Spotify if you're one of our Spotify listeners. This is fun. We got 2 more of these shows to go. You're still here tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be
Woot's
with you
here
guys
tomorrow.
Woot's back tomorrow. Special guests left and right. And
Like who?
Maybe Ron Rivera.
Actually, I can tell you one of our guests tomorrow. We're going to get this Colts trade done with J.J. Stankovitz tomorrow.
we might have Field Yates on tomorrow, who's milling around. We're going to do some stuff.
And I think Brad Spielberger, too, at one point.
Spielberger is very hot to come on the show.
We got a couple things brewing. We're excited about it. Make sure you're checking out all of the work at allchgo.com. That's where Nick went mid-show to go right. So he's got some stuff coming up today. I know Will DeWitt was all over the interviews this morning. Great job. Make sure you're following. If you're not already, following at CHGO_Bears because there's a lot of good content up there this morning.
Whole crew's here, man.
And
I might have won a Pulitzer yesterday.
Woot might lean on his Wildcat tandem. We might get out of Barre in here, too. I'm dreaming that one up, too.
I'm not sure anyone's having a better combine than Greg Braggs.
I'm having a great time.
The growth from yesterday to today.
You weren't at the house this morning, though, and we have to go because I'm losing it. But me and Nick were up early. Nick was the first one in the shower at 6:30. I followed at 6:50, and then we're texting Braggs. Dude's dead asleep. And, I mean, just
I was not dead asleep. I was in the shower.
No, you weren't. You were dead asleep at that point. You were late, and you were behind, and you were.
Let me give the guy some credit.
He was the 3 seed this morning, Hoge. He was the 3 seed.
You know what? It was a veteran move. I got as many Z's as I could, so I was ready for this dance.
3 seed.
Yeah.
You know what? Just
I got one more D tackle for Bears fans to look. Carl Brooks, Bowling Green.
Oh, yes.
Second guy.
He had a great Senior Bowl.
Very twitchy.
Yep.
Love him as a 3 technique. Carl Brooks from Bowling Green. Under the radar. Talk about in the second, third round.
Don't you have a golf simulator extravaganza that's opening up too?
I do. West End Golf Club in Rutherford, New Jersey. So if anybody's in the North Jersey area, yeah, we got 4 bays in there. Make it a clubhouse feel. It's going to be really good. We're going to have the big opening probably around April 1st, so excited for it. We've been talking a lot about the simulator stuff, but we're excited about it.
Woot's opening up a golf simulator spot in Jersey.
Baby.
If you don't live in Jersey, let's go to Jersey and let's golf simulate
I'm about to
together
fly
and
out
talk
there.
some Bears.
I'm about to fly out.
You guys have
there
to go, man. You guys are always welcome there. Yeah, I want to see Bragg swing a club.
I got you. My wife played golf. She was good at it.
After Northwestern beats Penn State tonight by 20, me and Woot are gonna kick your we're gonna buy you a drink is what we're gonna do just to celebrate the Cat win.
We gotta end the show. We gotta end the show, guys.
All right, we gotta end.
Bye, Lawrence.
Peace out, y'all.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Night,
Thank
night.
you for the likes.